When you don't complete the past, you can't be free to fully embrace the present. Jack Canfield's success principle number 28. Today, people, we are going in on the cycle of completion. Because why? Because when we don't complete things, when we leave things incomplete, we leave parts of our energy with that thing. We leave our consciousness with that thing. We leave part of our essence with that thing, which means that we are not in the now, which means that we're not fully being given it all. We're not playing big because we've got some of our energy back there. It's almost like when you have one of those relationships and you haven't quite cut the cord, and some of your energy is behind in that relationship, so you get triggered by things that the relationship has brought up from the past. So you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be like triggered because you're doing a present project, and that present project has got you triggered about because it brings up stuff from the past. Today, we're going to be talking about the cycle of completion and what that actually is, why you need it, and how to implement it. Because there is no transformation without implementation from information. My name's Ruth Ellen, and welcome to the She Can channel, where we shift, heal, and expand. We're constantly doing that. You know why? Because when you shift, heal, and expand, you are constantly moving out of your comfort zone. You're doing that shadow work. You're dealing with the trauma, the triggers, the things that have stopped you from moving forward. And you're saying, instead of from a place of getting your sword and your shield up, you're saying, I'm going to embrace whatever this is. I'm going to shift the energy. I'm going to look at this from a place of being a witness. And so today is no different. Today is success principle number 28. And we're talking about really cleaning up your messes. Really, really doing that. As for some of you, you'll probably be like, I ain't got no messes. If you've started a project, you haven't completed it, there's a little bit of a mess there. Let's take ownership and responsibility. I'll take ownership and responsibility. What about you? I know I've got incomplete projects that I want to personally finish as well. It's not just you. This message is for me. So let's start with the cycle of completion, what that actually looks like. So again, if you refer back to your copy of the success principles, you'll see that the cycle of completion is there in black and white. There's different titles for each part. It's a circle. In fact, if I show it to you, it's probably going to be easier, right? Then I'm going to read it out. So you can pause that. You can write that down. But to be clear, decide, plan, start, continue, finish, complete. Decide, plan, start, continue, finish, complete. Let that be your mantra. Like maybe you can dance to it or something. The point is, when you fail to not complete a project, you're giving away valuable energy that you can't get back. So we're going to talk about what that energy could have been used for. So if you started something, sometimes people have this obligation, this vow. I started it, so I need to finish it. So let's get this clear. Sometimes you are going to have to delete or dump certain projects. Just actually go through a grieving process if you have to, and just dump the project. Because when you are fully awakened to an extent, fully aware that you have no longer said yes to this project, you can call back that energy. If you're constantly saying, I'll get back to you later, and you never do, the energy is still with that project. We don't want that. We want you present, right? We want you to embrace the present. You can't do that if you've still got some of the energy from the past. So why don't people complete? According to Jack Canfield, it's because we're not clear, or we have emotional and psychological blocks. So sometimes you might have a block that comes up. Sometimes it might be emotional. Sometimes it might be psychological. Sometimes you might lack clarity. You don't actually know what to do next. So you kind of like, it's because of these blocks, because of the lack of clarity, you've just kind of benched it. And that might be what happens with a DIY project. It might be what happens to a course that you started that's online, perhaps, and you didn't know quite sure how to answer a question. So again, it's about clarity, right? Or perhaps you didn't know how to navigate a conversation, so that's probably an emotional block. So if you've got like lots of people requesting things, maybe you haven't set up systems because you don't even know how to reply. Like the other day, somebody said to me, "Oh, I've got lots of people that are inquiring about my program, but it's too much. I couldn't reply to them. There was not a sufficient system for you, so you stopped. It's not. You started with a great pitch. People were interested. They wanted to know more about your product or service, and they loved it, but they had questions. So your job was in that circumstance was to answer them, but you got so overwhelmed with so many questions, you decided to shut down. So there was an emotional block there. So in order for us not to have emotional blocks, we set up systems and we do things that help us to make the job easier. So I'm really getting into the solution things. Let's go back a little bit. Let's just go back. Getting into the consciousness of completion. We want to complete things, so we need to ask ourselves questions. The more effective questions we ask ourselves, the more effective we're going to be in life. If we ask ourselves ineffective questions, we'll be ineffective people. So we want to be effective as possible. And one of the effective ways to ask us questions is to say, what does it take? What's it going to take to get this task completed? It's a really simple one, but it's a good question. Because you might be like, well, I'm not sure how to do that. So, oh, cool. So that means I'm going to have to outsource, so I'm going to do some research. So when you ask yourself questions where you're being conscious of what's happening in your mind, you're going to come out with the answers because you have all the answers within. It's just like you're not asking the right questions. Like when people say, they ask a question, I say, you're asking the wrong question. Because most of the time, we have the answers within us. 99.99% of the time, we have the answers within us. And sometimes we're going outwards to look for it. But we really are the solutions to our own challenges. I don't even say problems, challenges. So again, you could be like, what does it take? What would it take for me to find joy in this task? What would it take for me to absolutely smash this task in the next 20 minutes? What would it take for me to own all of this task? And so that might mean, I'm going to have to block off some time in my calendar. I'm going to have to take away distractions. You just start becoming solution focused and you're like, which is amazing, right? So that's one of the ways to get more conscious about the actual challenge when it comes to the completion. Because getting to the completion consciousness is just like, you really want to step up. You really want to be like, got it done. And there's a different vibe to it. But you might not always want to finish a task, complete a task. And there's 4 things you can do to complete a task. Right, the first thing is to do it. Just do it. Like Nike said, just do it, right? Put the time in the calendar, block off the time, dedicate yourself, commit to the task, know what steps have to be taken. Second one is to delegate it. Oh my gosh, VAs are amazing. I've met a few VAs over the last couple of weeks. One in particular comes to mind whenever I think of the VA now. Just friggin' amazing. Just friggin' amazing. The first one is delay it. Now, you might have this massive dream to be an actress, thespian, poet, anything like that, right? But in order for you to complete that, maybe you don't have the capacity right now. So you're going to have to delay it. Maybe you're going to have to give yourself a couple of months' time, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months more. Either way, you've got it, but you're delaying it, knowing that you've moved it in your calendar. And the fourth one is to dump it. Dump it like the partner that you wish you should have dumped ages ago. Saying goodbye to that task, to that project, because it's just not in alignment with you anymore. It doesn't float your boat. It doesn't light you up. It doesn't ding your dong, if that's a thing. So let's go over the 4 Ds again, just to be clear, because sometimes we have to get clarity on these things. So it's do it, delegate it, delay it, or dump it. So it's almost like you're going to be physically, perhaps, maybe you write them down, all the tasks that you've got to do, you rip up them into little pieces of paper, you look at it and you pick one of those 4 things to do with it. Whether you're going to do it, delete it, delay it, or dump it. So it's probably the easiest way to do it, really. Like having a physical representation of the task and then having piles, and then you then know what to do with all the dump it, so you just kind of like, you've got it in a nice pile, or the delegates, or the delays, or the do it's. And so it makes it so much easier, because then it's not just sitting at the back of your mind, right? So once you've kind of realised what you're doing, what you're not doing, and what you're dumping, guess what? You've got more space for something new. Like I always say, if you're going to take on a new task, what old task are you saying no to? Because so many times people say, yeah, I want to write this book. Like, okay, so what are you going to be saying no to? Because obviously it's going to replace something out of your time. You didn't have the spare time in the first place. Even if your spare time was meditating, or even if your spare time was going out for a walk, even if your spare time was tidying up, that was still time you allocated. You really took that time and you allocated it somewhere else. So if you're going to be writing a book with that same time that you've allocated, you need to shift it back. You need to basically say, where am I taking this time from, and what is it that I need to take out of my day? So that's that. The last but not least thing is I want to talk about is, because I still want you to get the book, Success Principles is one of those books you can just dip in and dip out, and it's going to always have a golden nugget in there. They're really short, they're really sweet, they're really helpful. Unlike sweets. Anyway, former business activity. So there's 25 ways to complete before moving forward. So if I share with you maybe 5, then you can go buy the book and see the other 25. So one of them was the former business activity. So if you started an activity, didn't finish it, maybe that's one of the things. Missing or broken tools. If you're a tool person, maybe we want to delete. Maybe you want to just take out some tools, or even just make that list of tools that are missing. They're not very sexy. Projects delivered without feedback. That's probably a good one, right? Because you might have delivered a piece of work and you never got feedback for it. Not helpful. Not helpful, because it's almost like that work just went to the ether. So you have to decide whether you're going to go and do it, or if you're going to go delegate for somebody else to do that part for you, whether you're going to dump it, or delay it. Again, it's totally up to you. So I guess you just put the D next to it, or you put it in that pile. Computer files not backed up by data needs to be converted for storage. This is how old this book is. We're talking about maybe doing some cloud storage, maybe moving some stuff to storage, maybe using Dropbox or iCloud to put things in the cloud, so that your database from your laptop isn't, you're not reliant on that, so it's always in the cloud. Sounds interesting, right? But the bottom line is, it's a project that probably needs completing, and it's going to be very important for you if you rely solely on one machine, and that machine doesn't have cloud saving as an automated thing. Now, obviously, let's focus on business a little bit. If you have a broken funnel and that needs completing, do you do it? Do you delegate it? Do you dump it? Or how can I get the last one? Delay it. Now, obviously, if the funnel is needed for this launch, or the funnel is needed for now, and it could save you lots of time, then you are probably going to want to either do it or delegate it. But if the funnel isn't in alignment with your brand anymore, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't actually align with your ideal client, then you might want to dump it. But you're dumping the actual funnel content, but you're not dumping the process. You still need one, right? You still need a process in order for you to free up your time, free up your energy. So that's 28. There was a thing about being irritated, and like there's daily irritants. Like maybe you always trip over something, and that thing you might need to start to do something to the thing that you're always tripping over. Maybe you need to delegate it. Maybe you need to dump whatever it is you're keeping tripping over. The bottom line is, there's daily irritants in your life that might need doing something with straight off the bat rather than waiting. Because delaying is not going to help you if you're irritated by it now. I know that there was what was irritating me? My washing machine was irritating me. My fridge was irritating me, so I replaced them. My cooker was irritating me, so I replaced them because they was daily irritants. And instead of me saying I'm going to get one later on, I was like, you know what? I need some new white goods, and I replaced all of my white goods over a period of a couple of months, and it was done. And I was like so in such a more happy place. It was a completed process, and it didn't take me long to do. It took me long to receive the goods because there was some back order, or they had to be delivered for somewhere else. But the point is, once I did it, I felt so good. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is just so much more better. Why didn't I do this before? So the cycle of completion is not just because it helps us to get back our energy, because what it does also is it gives us peace of mind. And that's amazing, to have peace of mind, to know that I just made my life easier. I just made my life easier. And that's what we're striving for. We're striving for ease and flow and joy, but we can't do that if we're constantly in scatterbrain mode, trying to complete things when we haven't even decided. So, I go back to the first sentence I said. When you don't complete the past, you can't be free to fully embrace the present. So what do you need to complete in order to embrace the now? Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, enjoyed it, thumbs it up. Also, subscribe if you haven't already, right? I already told you. If you're called to, because there's no point if you're not going to eat up my content. But the point is, thumbs up this video, comment below, let me know what you're completing, what you're dumping, what you no longer give two rats' asses about. I don't know anyone that gives a two rats' ass about rats' asses, but hey, it's a saying, and who am I to mock it? The point is, thumbs up, comment, share with me. What is it you're up to? What is it you're completing? What is it you're doing? What is it you're delaying? What is it you're delegating? What is it that you're dumping? There you go. I finally remembered all of them. Thank you for watching. My name's been Ruth Ellen. You've just watched the She Can channel, where we shift, heal, and expand.